Hello there, internets and YouTube, all the rest of you. Welcome to another video. Spiltic. I'm Sal Good Sam. I like to experiment with this YouTube channel, and this time I'm going to try something a little different connected to my podcast and my comics. I've done a read-along audio reading of my memoir comic, A Bastard's Tale, the first installment of it. And here I'm going to try to marry the audio from that with the pictures into a little animatic. There's some musical cues, including the music off of an album my mother illustrated the LP cover for, and music that was released the year I was born or just before. Seemed like it was appropriate. So, without further ado, here goes.
We've only just begun. Promises, a kiss for luck, and we're on our way.
A Bastard's Tale, a comic memoir by Sal Good Sam. They say every time you remember something, you rewrite the memory, give it new emphasis, importance, omit, edit, evolve. So nothing can be trusted. I remember laying in the sun, my eyes squinted so I could watch the little cell bodies and viscous liquids floating in the sky. I thought it was amazing things lived in me like that. At the time, it made me believe in magic more. Later, it made me feel magical that I didn't have to believe it just is. I loved that motes of dust did a dance called the Brownian Jive, that amazing things were real and humans gave them names.
On your mind. Have a drink, have a drive, go out and see what you can find.
I was born September 15th, 1970, year of the dog. I joked as a child that I was a bastard. It was a way to make light of my oddness. 40 years later, a lot of my oddness is normal, but not then. My grandmother used to say, the morning after she had me, my mother was up in her bed, finishing art for an LP sleeve, trying to meet a deadline. Arne Selznick was 22, eldest of 3 and a talented art student. Unwed, intense, independent, probably a bit of a workaholic already. Lionel Douglas was equally intense. He left his wife to be with Arne, and she raised me as a single parent most of my life, shaped who I am. Young girl, get out of my mind. My love for you is a way out. Arne told me a funny story of how they met. It involved LSD and Lionel following another woman home. She says they had a very romantic relationship at first. But all I really remember of them being together is the fighting. Lionel was an active member of the Toronto counterculture, a retailer and distributor of pot while holding down a day job as a clerk at City Hall. He was in love with two-wheeled machines and told tales of crossing the Atlantic to race, but came home to see Mom most weekends at the time claimed. He told a lot of stories. He was always a big fish. He was supposed to have an IQ of 148, wrote well, took excellent photographs. People tell stories of him sweet-talking judges, smuggling draft dodgers dressed as a priest, the car doors packed with hash. He was a pirate, a psychedelic centurion, they say. People talk highly of him, and in the next breath call him bastard. He talked of having many faces. He went out of his way to impress, I think. Debated politics on local TV, was immortalized in film by Cronenberg.
Well, it's gorgeous, Reinhardt. But what about the real thing? You ashamed to admit you've blown it up already?
I did 130 down the Rouge Valley Road. Wasn't even breathing hard. It's too bad you weren't there.
Reinhardt, where is it? Is the machine on the premises? Do I have to start making phone calls to your mechanics?
It's gone, Lionel. It's gone. I sold it.
What's his name?
Whose name?
The guy who bought the Super Sport. What's his name?
No way you're gonna find this guy. You'll just drive him bananas. No way.
News travels fast in the bike community, meathead.
Well, just allow me to educate you a little further. This man is not a member of the bike community. That's right, turkey. This man, a very wealthy collector of modern sculpture and paintings, just wants to put the motorcycle in his living room. He's crazier than you are.
Arna and Lionel had split up by the time I was 3. I lived downtown with my mother behind the sandal shop and spent some weekends and part of the summer with Lionel. He once took me to see Kramer versus Kramer, thinking it would help me understand things better. Arna moved to the beaches, and I first found myself out of place, misfit. It was okay for a while, until I was 8, almost 9. Suddenly, everything changed. Shortly after my 9th birthday, I found a weekend edition of the Toronto Star. Of course, I went looking for the Color Comics insert. Instead, I found a giant 2-page hagiography by a reporter friend of Lionel's, a bombastic thing I later came to realize was deeply influential. Reading it marks the moment my relationship with my mythical father began, the one made up of stories and artifacts. Death of a biker. Intelligence agent Lionel Douglas, Leo 44, transferred back to Galactic Headquarters on July 6th, diving spectacularly from a motorcycle and depositing his earthly shell on a nearby fire plug. During his tenure here, he contributed intensely to the evolution of global consciousness, and we will wish him even more success in his next mission. An epitaph written by John Douglas, Lionel's friend and neighbor, of no actual relation, but same last name. It serves as the opening headlines for this long obituary covering 2 pages and featuring lots of photographs and headlines like Flaky Women. It's an interesting piece. You can read the full report, if you will, on spiltink.org under webcomics. Look for A Bastard's Tale Part 1, which I've just read you the text from. Part 2's coming soon. This is going to be an ongoing memoir project. It began as a book about my father, but I realized that my only way into the story was through my own experiences, so it evolved into a memoir. I thought for a while now that it would be fun to do a read-along with them so that I could marry it with pictures on video, use it for presentations at events, that kind of thing. So that's what this is. I hope you enjoy. You can read Part 1 of A Bastard's Tale on spiltink.org, as I mentioned, and you can also check out my father's photography and writing on the italianmachine.spiltink.org. Look for the link accompanying this podcast. And there's a lot of material there, along with links to the full Italian Machine film that David Cronenberg made, a little short movie featuring a mythical version of my father. There's also a CBC radio interview with him as an anonymous drug dealer, piles of photographs, little art films he made with friends, and some of his poetry and prose. If you dig the work, want to see more, help me get Bastard's Tale finished faster, check out my Patreon page and consider becoming a patron of the arts. And don't forget to subscribe to get the latest updates on my podcast or YouTube videos, or the comics even, from spiltink.org. It's all good, Sam out. Have a great week.